Hi everybody, welcome to Sprague Woodturning. My name is Jim. So this video is going to be geared towards those who are looking to get into resin casting and want to use a pressure pot. So I have a 5-gallon pressure pot, but I'm finding that it's a little on the smaller side for some of the stuff that I want to do. So I bought a 10-gallon pressure vessel that you use for painting, and I'm going to convert that into a resin casting chamber. So that's this video. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that. And then of course that thumbs up will help with the analytics, and sharing my videos on your social media platforms is awesome as well. And don't forget to leave a comment down below, because that's where we're going to get the next winner of the 35,000 subscriber giveaway bowl, from the comments. All right, so let's get over to the bench and I'll show you what I bought and what we're going to have to do to turn it into a pressurized casting vessel. All right, so here's our pressure pot, and as you can see, it's very large. The inside dimension on this is 14 3/4 by 17.5 tall. It's really large, and it's actually quite heavy. It's almost 90 pounds, I think. So let's get this open, and then we'll see what's shipped with it and what we need to do to make this work. One thing this is from California Air Tools, and the one thing that I really like is these really large wing nuts that are on here. You can really torque on them, and even if you want to, you can actually stick a screwdriver between here and pry them open or pry them closed if you wish. I find it's usually not necessary. So here you can see this is an agitator, and I'll show you inside. So we don't want any of this business because it's going to interfere with the casting. So we're going to get rid of all this. All right, so there's the top. It actually comes with what I'm assuming is a paint container. Inside of it, some fittings, casters, regulator, and a handle for the agitator that we're not going to use. And instructions. Who needs those? So anyway, you could maybe use this as a casting bucket. It does fit inside there fairly tightly. I don't know how well it's going to stand up to beating on it with a hammer, like I seem to like to do. All right, so under the lid, here's your suction tube, and of course your agitator. I mean, I'm not in the painting business, so I don't even know how often you'd have to stir this as you're using it. But regardless, we're going to actually get rid of this. Well, we're not going to get rid of it totally. The problem is this is a 9/16 inch shaft, and I don't have a tap that's that large. Ideally, I'd be able to remove this whole shaft assembly, tap this little nut that's on the top, or this large nut that's on the top, and then just put a plug in there. But I don't have a tap that large. So what I'm going to do is take this shaft off, cut it, and then reinstall it. And if I still have, if I have a leak after that, then I'll just go to the hardware store, get a 9/16 inch tap and a plug, and I'll plug the very top of this, and that'll be it. All right, so we're going to start with this tube assembly. As you can see, I've got a pipe wrench. This is a little hard to do because it's round. Let's see what we can do here. There it goes. There you go. Scrap metal. Right, so what I want to do now is pull the agitator shaft out. So on the very top there's a collar right here, and it's got a couple of set screws holding it in place. And I'm assuming once we remove these set screws that hopefully this will slide out. There we go. Now I'm going to leave this one right here because I know that I'll be able to put that right up near the top and I won't have to, so anyway, I'm just going to cut it off just below here. I don't think this will ever interfere with any casting I ever do. So anyway, once that's cut off, I'll reinstall it and hopefully everything is good to go. Looks like there's just a couple of O-rings in there that keep it sealed. We'll have to see. Right, so here's the shaft that we cut off. Back through the hole. And we take the collar that we took off, put that back on. And you know, in an ideal situation, you would delete this period and just put a plug in there, but like I said, I don't have the stuff on hand. But you know, if it doesn't leak, then I'll probably leave it. If it leaks, then I'll do something about that at that point. All right, so the last time that I got my new 5-gallon pressure pot from them, every one of these fittings leaked where they were screwed into the top. And this piece here where I unscrewed the pipe was just powder. It wasn't even, it's supposed to be more like a putty, but it was powder. So what I'm going to do is pull all of these fittings out and make sure that all of that there's no leaks in here before we even attempt to pressurize this thing. Ordinarily, this is the regulator and all this other business would actually go on here, but you know what? You don't need all of this. All we need is one of these shut-off valves right here. Get one that works. All we need is one of these. So I'm going to get rid of this, delete it completely. So that's a diffuser right here, and you have to remove that or else that fitting is not going to come out. If you don't have this, when you put your air in, the air will shoot directly into the casting and can make a mess. And when I actually got my 5-gallon pot, I actually didn't install this after I redid all this and it was a mess. I have since put this back in and now I don't have those issues anymore. See that? Look how powdery that is. It's not supposed to be like that. It should be sticky. I'll show you here in a second. So I'm just going to pop one of these off of here. Might have to put this in the vise. Back in a sec. Anyway, this is the sealant I'm going to be using. I realize it's quite an old thing, but it's Loctite and it's a sealant with Teflon, and that's what you should be using when you're using this. Or another alternative is the Teflon tape as well. All right, so here's the valve assembly, and this is the piece that goes in underneath of the top. And you know, this is brass and this is steel. So last time I actually just held some pressure on this and screwed it in. It doesn't have to be held in with a super amount of force here because you're going to be filling this very slowly. So if you want to, you could tap the inside of this to accept this. I don't know, maybe I will later on here. But anyway, I want to get this installed first. Now, the reason why I'm just getting rid of all this is because you look at all these joints where this can leak. It's best to get rid of it. You've got a gauge right here that you're going to be looking at as you fill the pressure pot, so you don't need a regulator or anything like that. So I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit of this. Make sure that you've got this orientated correctly, which threads are going to be screwing in, which are going to be these ones. And you can see how sticky this is. It's not powdery. And this is exactly the same issue that I had last time that I got my pressure pot from them. So, you know, don't even bother putting any pressure in this until you've got all of these fittings taken out and checked. There, I rotated this so it's on the down slope so you can open and close it like so. On top of that, this is the fitting for the air hose that I have. So that'll go on here. That's the large valve that comes on the top. Make sure that you take it apart here and here as well to make sure that it's not going to leak, because the last one I had did. So make sure you take all these connections apart and use the either the Teflon tape or the other pipe dope, as we used to call it. Anyway, I'm just going to work my way around the top of this, pull all these fittings out, put the pipe dope on them, and then I'll bring you back when I get that all done. Alright, so everything is done. You know, it's important that you really seal these things up. Can you imagine you got a couple $100, maybe even more of that worth of resin inside this pressure pot? You know, you do it up to 60 or 80 psi, and then you come back and it had leaked out overnight. So that's not cool. So it's important that you do all these. This is a little filler that you can unscrew. I'm assuming they don't paint in there. I took that out and did that as well. And remember, you know, I believe these things are made in China. So, you know, how long has it taken to get here over rough seas and roads? So a lot of these fittings actually a lot of these were actually really loose. I probably could have spun them with my hand. So that tells you right there that you really need to do this in order to make this work. All right, so let's get this on the base and put some pressure in it, and we'll check all of our fittings. And if that's it, then, you know, we're pretty much done. I actually forgot about this. All right, so this appears to be a 9mm. So that's what I've got here. And yeah, you know, I could take this off, but I don't think there's really any need to. Blow that out with the air hose. So there you go. The proper way. That's it. Let's get our lid on and get it pressurized and check for leaks. So there is a seal underneath here, of course. So I've checked that to make sure that it's free of debris. All right, close all my valves. Let's fill it up slowly. I can already hear a leak somewhere. Yeah, it's coming from the safety valve. Anyway, this is where a leak is. I'm gonna have to take this apart and see what's going on with this. So all the air pressure is out. So as you can see, this is all that's inside of that. There's just a little seat that sits on there. There's your spring pressure. I'm assuming this is supposed to be calibrated to whatever they want it to blow off at. So there's not really a whole lot, really. Maybe this piece here, maybe that wasn't tightened down far enough. So I'll back the nut off. There. So now, let's tighten this back up. I think that might have been it. I don't remember this plunger being out so far. There, let's try that again. Fill it up to 20, then I'll check for leaks, and if I'm good from there, I'll keep going, and we'll check for leaks after it gets to 60 psi. I'm going to fill it up very slowly. I don't hear any leaks. Let's keep going. Let's check for leaks. So you could use soapy water. I just use Windex or any window cleaner. So I'll just spray all these connections where they go through the lid to see if I see any bubbles. And hopefully I don't. Everything that you put together, just spray it with the Windex. And you'll see if it's leaking, it'll start foaming and bubbling, and it's very easy to pick up. But I don't see any. And that's good. And I didn't do up here. I'm surprised. I thought for sure that that would be maybe an issue. But everything looks good. All right. Let's finish this video up. Right, so I just want to talk about a few things before we go. Just like my 5-gallon pressure pot made by the same company, same sort of design minus the auger, it leaked right out of the box too. I put pressure in my 5-gallon and it was leaking everywhere. So, you know, that's why I figured that this one would be no different. So that's why I went through all those steps before even pressurizing, because I knew it was going to be an issue, and sure enough it was. With that said, it's $1,800 Canadian, and when you spend that kind of money on something, you shouldn't have to maybe go through all these steps to correct it. I don't know if it's just bad sealant that they're using at the factories when they put these things in, but that's a substantial amount of money, and let's be honest, I don't think that you should probably have to go through that when you get your brand new pressure pot. I will eventually delete that auger assembly that I cut off, just because I don't trust it. I would sooner just use a tap and then use a brass plug and plug that and be done with it. It is pressurized at 60 psi right now, so I'm going to leave that overnight, and if it doesn't drop, then we're golden. If it drops, then I'll see if I can find out where the leak is. I did spray around the seal on the top of the lid, and I didn't see any leaks there, so hopefully we're good. It hasn't dropped in the last half hour, so I think it's all right. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about this video. I realize that this is, you know, just geared towards people doing resin casting or looking into getting into resin casting. But you know, on another side point, a lot of people ask why wood turners use pressure pots, or why people working with epoxy use pressure pots. And that's because as a wood turner, I can push that epoxy into areas that it ordinarily wouldn't flow if it was airlocked or, you know, this kind of business. And it will also compress bubbles that are in there so small that you can't see them with the naked eye. I don't plan on going any higher than 60. I think that's probably good. But yeah, I mean, it's a very robust pressure pot. I'm happy with the construction of it. I just wish that it came ready to use. And as you've seen today, you're gonna have all the stuff that comes with it. Just delete it. If you don't need it, you've got a cage on the front. You don't need all of that pressure regulator and all that other business. Get rid of it because it's just another thing to leak. All right, well that's it. I got a video coming up on Friday, so make sure you check that out. So far, I think it's going to be okay. It's in the pressure pot, so I'll be on it tomorrow. Anyway, that's it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this video, and if you want to see more videos like this. I can do some on sharpening on my bandsaw, you know, whatever wood turners use to make stuff. Anyway, that's it. Take care, stay safe. Don't forget that bell. See you next time.